Hello, my dear students and dear colleagues. Today, we will discuss about chromatography and give emphasis on column chromatography. In the present day, chromatography is a very important tool in synthesis, industrial chemistry, biomedical sciences, and chemical analysis. Chromatography was first employed in Russia by the Italian-born scientist Mikhail Civet in 1900. His work was mainly on separation of plant pigments, since these components have different colors. That technique was named as chromatography. The term chromatography is a Greek word, which means color. The chromatography technique developed substantially as a result of the work of Archer Martin and Richard Sims during the period 1940s and 1950s, and for which they won 1952 Nobel Prize in Chemistry. Their work accelerated the rapid development of several chromatographic methods. Now, advanced technology continually improving the technical performance of chromatography. In this video, first I will elaborate the concept of chromatography and then give more insight. Now the question is, what is chromatography? In a broad sense, chromatography is a group of separation techniques. This separation may be complete separation or partial separation. Suppose a mixture is composed of three components A, B and C. If a separation technique completely separates the components A, B and C from the mixture, then the separation is called complete separation. And if the separation technique completely separates the component A from the mixture, but the other two components B and C remains together in the solution, like this, then the separation is called partial separation. Choice of separation method basically depends on your requirements. Suppose your interest is only one component A. That is, you are not bothered about other components present in the mixture. Then the partial separation gives you fruitful result. So, the chromatography may be complete separation method or it may be a partial separation method. You know, beside chromatography, there are many other separation techniques. For example, gravimetry, steam distillation, solvent extraction, etc. The basic principle of separation is not same for all cases. Here, we will focus on the basic principle of chromatographic separation only. Practically, chromatography is a very versatile group of techniques. A particular type of chromatography may widely differ from another type of chromatography. Yet, few things are common among all types of chromatography. Now, watch a song from famous Indian movie Bahubali to understand the common things.
हाथ से ये हाथ जोड़ लो ना, है साथ दोनों को बहना, बस तेरी है देवसेना. ना 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 ना.
So many ladies in this picture, but only one man, Bahubali. Among the ladies, only the heroine Devsena come very close to hero Bahubali, and she is separated from the other ladies. Now the question is, why Devsena separated from other ladies? The most probable answer is affection. Here, Bahubali is in the center of affection, and his affection only to Devsena. Devsena also has affection to Bahubali. If we consider all ladies as the different components of mixer, then chromatography is defined as a group of separation techniques where the separation is done based on affection. Affection between stationary phase and return phases. The components of the mixer to which stationary phase shows some affection are called return phases, and the components of a mixer to which the stationary phase does not show any affection is called non-return phases. In this case, only Devsena is return phases and other ladies are non-return phases. Basic components of chromatography are mobile phase, stationary phase, and analyte. Analyte is a mixture of different components, and it is a combination of return phases and non-return phases. When the mixture of components passes through a stationary phase, the stationary phase shows some different types of affection to the components of mixture. Somewhere it shows strong affection and somewhere it shows weak affection. Finally, when the mobile phase passes through the stationary phase, it carries the component at different rates through the stationary phase. This can be visualized in the next animation. The animation is collected from YouTube. In this animation, the order of affection of the components to the stationary phase is blue greater than yellow greater than red. That is, the stationary phase binds the blue components more tightly than yellow and red. And the order of binding force is blue greater than yellow greater than red. When the mobile phase passes through the stationary phase, the force of mobile phase breaks the bond between stationary phase and the components, and it carries the components through the stationary phase at different rates. The component which has more affection to the stationary phase moves slowly, and the component which has less affection to the stationary phase moves rapidly. Hence, the different components migrate through the stationary phase at different rates and they get separated. So, finally, chromatography can be defined as a group of separation techniques which are common in the use of stationary phase and mobile phase. The components of the mixer passes through the stationary phase by the flow of mobile phase and they get separated because of the difference in their migration rate. Now, Depending upon the geometry of the stationary phase, chromatography broadly classified into two classes: column chromatography and planar chromatography. In column chromatography, the stationary phase is packed in a tube or narrow tube or capillary, like this. In planar chromatography, the stationary phase is supported on a flat plate or in the pores of a paper, like this. Planar chromatography we will discuss in the next class. Now, in the next part of this video, we'll discuss only one: column chromatography. Now watch a wonderful animation on column chromatography, and for that, thanks a lot to Merit Nation.
Have you heard of column chromatography? Well, what happens in column chromatography is, as the name suggests, first we need to prepare a column. Now to do this, we keep cotton at the bottom of a clean and dry glass column. Now on this, a thin layer of acid-washed sand is kept to support the column. The stationary phase, which could be alumina or silica gel or starch, mixed with a non-polar solvent such as hexane, is then placed. Now a thin layer of acid-washed sand is again placed on top of the stationary phase. The mixture to be separated is now dissolved in a highly polar solvent, which could be, for example, alcohol, and is introduced into the column. Now let's see what happens after some time. The components of the mixture separate and they form thin bands. The component that is more weakly adsorbed will move faster through the column and therefore will get separated first. And the component that is most strongly adsorbed, as expected, will be separated.
In column chromatography, first you need to prepare a column. The stationary phase is present in the column, and the choice of stationary phase depends on the nature of components present in the mixture. One stationary phase does not work for the separation of different types of mixtures. The stationary phase used for the separation of polar types of compounds does not work for the separation of non-polar types of compounds. You know, polar dissolves polar and non-polar dissolves non-polar. So, for the separation of polar types of compounds, stationary phase must be polar. Otherwise, stationary phase will not show any affection to the components of the mixture. Similarly, for the separation of nonpolar types of compounds, you need a nonpolar type of stationary phase. The choice of mobile phase also depends on the nature of analyte and the stationary phase. In the next demo video, I will show you how a ion exchange column is prepared. Here, the ion exchange resin is amberlite. The amberlite is used as the stationary phase in this case. You know, dry amberlite is available. So, to make a column with amberlite, first you need to prepare a slurry of the amberlite with proper solvent.
The slurry is ready. Now kept it for overnight. It's okay.
There are different types of column chromatography based on the physical nature of mobile phase and stationary phase. Only based on physical nature of mobile phase, column chromatography is divided into three broad classes: gas chromatography, liquid chromatography, and supercritical fluid chromatography. When the gaseous mobile phase is used, then the column chromatography is called gas chromatography. In liquid chromatography, the mobile phase is liquid, and in supercritical fluid chromatography, the mobile phase is a supercritical fluid. Again, depending upon the physical nature of stationary phase, a broad class of column chromatography is subdivided into many classes. For example, gas chromatography is divided into two subclasses: gas liquid chromatography and gas solid chromatography. Look here, the second term comes from the physical nature of stationary phase. In gas liquid chromatography, the stationary phase is a liquid, and in gas solid chromatography, the stationary phase is a solid. So, from the name of a specific method of column chromatography, you can guess what types of mobile phase and stationary phase are used there. This way, liquid chromatography is divided into many classes. For example, liquid chromatography or partition chromatography, liquid solid chromatography or adsorption chromatography, ion exchange chromatography, size exclusion chromatography, and affinity chromatography. In a liquid chromatography, the stationary phase and the mobile phase both are liquid. In adsorption chromatography, the stationary phase is a solid. In ion exchange chromatography, the stationary phase is a ion exchange resin. There are two types of ion exchange chromatography. One is cation exchange chromatography and another is anion exchange chromatography. In cation exchange chromatography, cation exchange resin is used as the stationary phase, and in anion exchange chromatography, an anion exchange resin is used as the stationary phase. Liquids in the interstices of a polymeric solid is used as the stationary phase in size exclusion chromatography. Here the separation depends on the molecular size of the components. In affinity chromatography, the stationary phase is a group-specific liquid bonded to a solid surface. And finally, in supercritical fluid chromatography, the stationary phase is a organic basis bonded to a solid surface. And of course, the mobile phase is a supercritical fluid. Now it is your time for thinking. Think about what I said and what I showed you. And in the meantime, I am taking a short break. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed your thinking process, which builds a shape of chromatography in the corner of your mind. Now, I would like to modify this shape of chromatography with new informations. The first information is diameter of a column varies from few millimeter to few centimeter. Even it varies in a huge range. So modify your concept about the size of a column. It may be a very narrow capillary or it may be a wide tube. The length of column varies from few centimeter to several meter. Just think about it. Few centimeters to several meter. That's a huge range. In general, the columns of a high performance chromatography are very narrow and lengthy. The next thing is The volume of mixture introduced into the column varies from few microliter to several milliliter. Basically, it depends on your requirements and type of column. In general, if you want to get the separated components, then large volume of sample to be introduced. If only you want to know the qualitative or quantitative information of a component, then small volume of sample is sufficient. Very small volume of sample is required in narrow column. In this case, the volume of a sample required may be 10 microliter or 20 microliter. Just imagine 10 microliter or 20 microliter. The components of the mixer are separated in the narrow column, but they cannot be collected separately. Thus, a detector is placed at the end of a narrow column to mark the time when a component reaches at the end of the column. Now, come to a very important topic of column chromatography, elution. The whole process of separation of a mixer into its components is called elution. That is, it starts when a sample is introduced into a column and it ends when all the components come out from the column. You know, two types of components may present in a sample. These are retent phases and non-retent phases. Retent phases interacts with the stationary phase, and that's why it moves slower than the mobile phase. The non-retent phase does not interact with the stationary phase, so it moves at the velocity of mobile phase through the column. Now consider a narrow column where a detector is placed at the end of the column. Look here. Now add a very small volume of sample on the top of the column in presence of continuous flow of mobile phase. And consider the time of sample addition as 0 time. As the non-retent phase does not interact with the stationary phase, it moves at the velocity of mobile phase and reaches at the detector at time t1. At the same time, two retent phases are positioned here and here. But at that moment, all the non-retent phases just come out from the column. So at time t1, the detector shows some response. The red retent phase is positioned last because it interacts strongly with the stationary phase than the yellow retent phases. Suppose at time t2, yellow retent phase reaches at the detector here. So at time t2, the detector will show some response. Look here. There is a time gap between this response and this response. In the meantime, no components reaches at the detector, so no signal. Here, you can think that the mobile phase continuously coming at the detector. So why the detector does not show continuous response? Actually, the detector is calibrated such a way that it will not show any response for the mobile phase. It only gives response for the retent phases and the non-retent phases present in the sample. Look here. At time t2, when the yellow component reaches at the detector, the red component positioned here. Suppose at time t3, the red component reaches at the detector. So again the detector will show some response at time t3. Now if we plot all the response of the detector versus time, then it will be like this, and this plot is called chromatogram of the particular illusion. That is the chromatogram of this particular illusion. This peak is for the non-retained faces, and these two peaks are for two retained faces, yellow and red. The peak height and area under the peak depends on the nature and quantity of components present in the mixture. For a particular component, suppose for the yellow component, with increasing the amount of yellow component in the mixture, the peak height and the area under the curve will increase. Again, with decreasing the amounts of yellow component in the mixture, the peak height and the area under the curve will decrease. Now, I would like to mention some terms regarding illusion. First one is eluent. Basically, eluent is the solvent that carries the components of sample. Eluate is the portion of mobile phase which is leaving from the column. This is also known as effluent. Eluate is the eluted solute, that is the separated components. Now, come to dead time or void time. It is the time gap between sample addition and the appearance of non-retained phases at the detector. In this chromatogram, T1 is the dead time or void time. In general, it is denoted as Tm. The length of column divided by the dead time is the velocity of mobile phase. Now come to another important point, retention time. It is the time taken by a retained phases to reach at the detector after the sample addition, and it is denoted as TR, T capital R. So the retention time is different for different components. Here the retention time of yellow component is T2 and the retention time of red component is T3. You know, if this yellow phases does not interact with the stationary phase, that is, if it behaves as a non-retained phases, then it will come or it will takes T1 time to reach at the end of the column. But practically it takes T2 time. Because of the interaction with the stationary phase, the yellow component spends some time in the stationary phase. When it resides in the stationary phase, it has no movement. But when it accidentally includes in the mobile phase, it moves in the velocity of mobile phase. So, time spent by a component in the stationary phase is equal to the retention time minus dead time. That is, the yellow component spends T2 minus T1 time in the stationary phase, and the red component spends T3 minus T1 time in the stationary phase. Chromatography may be preparative or analytical. The purpose of preparative chromatography is to separate the compounds of a mixture for later use and is thus a form of purification. Analytical chromatography is done normally with the smaller amounts of material and is for establishing the presence or measuring the relative proportion of analytes in the mixture. In the previous sections, we discussed about the separation of mixture and how it achieved in chromatography. Now, we will discuss about the analytical purpose of column chromatography. First, come to qualitative analysis. Suppose elution of a mixture gives a chromatogram like this, and you want to know which compounds are present in the mixture. That is, which compound is responsible for this response and which compound is responsible for this response of the detector. Directly, you will not get the answer of these questions from the chromatogram. Rather, you can check the presence or absence of a suspected compound or compounds in the mixture. Suppose you want to check whether methanol is present in the mixture or not. Then you need a standard methanol sample and you have to run this methanol solution through the same column under identical experimental conditions that were used for the sample chromatogram. Then you will get a chromatogram for the standard methanol sample, and from this chromatogram you will get the retention time of methanol. Look here. The retention time of methanol is T2. If this retention time is present in the chromatogram of the mixture, then we can say methanol is present in the mixture. Otherwise not. In this case, the retention time T2 is present in the chromatogram of the mixture. So we can say methanol is present in the mixture. This way, by matching the retention time, you can check the presence or absence of suspected compound or compounds in the mixture, provided you have the standard sample or samples of the suspected compounds. But sometimes you may not identify all the compounds present in the mixture. Because of that, it is said, chromatography provides an excellent means of confirming presence or absence of a suspected compound in a mixture. Okay. Next, come to quantitative analysis. Look here. By matching the retention time, you already confirm that methanol is responsible for this response of detector. Now, you want to quantify the methanol present in the mixture. This is as if by comparing the area under the curve of these two responses. Suppose area under the curve for the standard methanol sample is X. That is, this area is X. And area under the curve for the mixture is Y. That is, this area is Y. And further, suppose that concentration of standard methanol sample is capitals. That is, in this case, concentration of methanol is C. Then comparing these two chromatogram, the concentration of methanol in the mixture will be Y by X dot C. So, this way you can quantify a known species from the chromatogram. In the case of second response, if you want to quantify this response, first you have to find out that which compound is responsible for this response. Then by comparing the peak areas, you will get the result. So, until you identify this species, you can't quantify.